Hey Gemini and Gemini Rising, welcome back to Beyond the Veil Tarot and Astrology. This is going to be your September 2025 horoscopes. I'm excited to get into that with you guys today. And I'm going to be creating these horoscopes based off of your rising sign. So remember, rising signs also known as your ascendant. This is going to give you a much more personalized read than your sun sign alone. This is going to set the kind of stage for where the planets are moving through your chart. If you don't know your rising sign, check out an online birth chart calculator. Make sure you just put in your time and place of birth and you'll be able to see that. And don't forget to listen to your rising sun and moon sign, especially your sun and moon sign this month, because we're going to be having eclipses. Now, this is going to be my presentation for the September horoscopes. I'm using the Western astrology system, and I'm going to be using the whole sign charts as well. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Let me know how these predictions play out for you later in September. And if you want to see more about me and my work, click the links below and head over to beyondtheveiltarot.com. There you can book a session, check out my courses, and do consider joining my memberships on YouTube. All right, so my Gemini risings, welcome to September. Something I want to let you guys know is that we are going to be having mutable eclipses. There will be eclipses taking place in Pisces and also in Virgo. So you may feel like you're a little bit in the crosshairs of some of the stuff that's going on. In particular, the dates and everything for the transits, you can find them below if you just click the description. But what you need to know is that obviously you're ruled by Mercury. So we're going to be focusing on what's going on with Mercury first. The planet of communication, intellect, adaptability, and curiosity. Mercury retrograde is over, baby. So you guys are good to go. And this month, Mercury is actually going to be continuing to move through Leo, and it will shift into Virgo. So as it's moving through Leo until September 2nd in your third house of communication, siblings, short distance trips, and learning, then on the 2nd, it's going to be moving into your fourth house, which is Virgo. And this is all about home, family roots, and emotional foundations. I think early on with Mercury and Leo, the thoughts the first 2 days of the month are going to be more creative, and it's also going to be more focusing on, anything in regards to self-expression, short distance trips, your kind of daily interactions. So it's perfect for storytelling or kind of local networking. And then when it moves into Virgo, then it's going to be kind of focusing on analytical home matters. So think like organizing your home, cleaning your home, conversations with family, inner reflections. And also this is about empowering practical emotional clarity without being too overcritical of your roots. Then you will see it move into Libra. So then it's going to be moving into a fellow air sign in your fifth house. And it'll be obviously coming into trines with some of your personal planets if you have Gemini, Sun, Moon, or Rising. What I think about this is that this is a little bit more fun because it's going to enhance your charm. And it's also about, fun pursuits and romance and children and creative projects. So you've got Mercury that's going to be in a couple different places this month, kind of playing catch up from the last couple of months of Mercury retrograde. So overall, September is really sharpening, I think, your kind of mental abilities and kind of flowing from local chatter in Leo to more domestic details in Virgo. And then more kind of playful romantic dialogue towards the end of the month when it moves into Libra. Now, you want to use this month, I think, to really foster connections. There can be some scattered energy that can be kind of happening. So, stay curious and be a little flexible if you can. Now, we're going to dive into the rest of the transits that you're going to be seeing for the month ahead. I'm going to tell you what they mean, how to work with them, and what to expect, so that way you guys can navigate the month a little bit more smoothly. Basically, the 1st of September, we are seeing Saturn retrograde back into Pisces. So it's going to be returning to your 10th house of career and reputation, where you're reevaluating or reassessing, your ambitions as well as your public life. If you're a Gemini, Sun, Moon, or Rising, and if you've got anything between, I would say, 23 and 29 degrees, you're under a rare and unusual Saturn transit. This is a big building period when it comes to your career. I want you to be hyper-focused on the 10th and the 4th house this month because there's a lot of energy in both of these houses. As Saturn goes back into your 10th house of career, what it's going to be doing is it's really demanding you to review your professional life and your structures or your reputation in a more intuitive, disciplined way, right, Pisces? So karmic lessons and authority, might be kind of bringing delays in group recognition. Maybe it's forcing you to kind of build a much more sustainable path and revealing any foggy kind of ambitions. So for example, a promotion could stall, prompting a reevaluation of your public image. There could be job changes. There could be changes with your bosses or, with your professional goals. So the key here is to know that you're going to have Saturn in this part of your chart until the beginning of the year. So it wants you to wrap something up. I would set long-term career boundaries or goals, mentor others, also journal your achievements to kind of combat any personal doubt. Patience here is what's really going to give you true authority. Now, on September 2nd, Mercury, your ruler, is going to be then entering into the 4th house, where then the matters of you and your relationship with family, traveling back home, organizing your home. Maybe there's going to be a focus also on reassessing your relationship with family members is going to be key. And you can get much more detailed when it comes to home and family matters here as well. Communication becomes more precise with Mercury and Virgo, and I think it can also be kind of highlighting emotional matters. So it's ideal for actually resolving family issues or organizing your space. And that can be through, maybe some perfectionism, and it might stir some inner anxiety because we're also going to see Mercury square Uranus. So you might feel like you want freedom, but you have to go back home. You have to help family. You got to deal with like a domestic matter. And I think that for a lot of you guys, I could imagine this kind of manifesting as like a heartfelt conversation with a relative or kind of clearing a misunderstanding. Use Mercury going through this part of your chart for home projects and maybe family rituals. Breathe through any like nostalgia that kind of arises. A lot of you guys are going to be moving house, organizing your home, reconnecting with family, reassessing something, about the past. And that's all tied to like the eclipses moving through this house as well. Now, on the 4th of September, you're going to see Mars in Libra coming into a square with Jupiter in Cancer. So Mars is moving through your 5th house of creativity, children, having fun, and dating. And it's squaring Jupiter in your 2nd house. Squares are obviously tense, right? We see a little bit of friction. And I think that because the 5th house is about creativity and romance, and the 2nd house is about, values and possessions, this aspect is really showing clashes between passionate pursuits and financial expressions. And it can lead to impulsive spending on pleasure, on dates, on going out, having fun, even on your children. So a date night could be pretty extravagant, really straining your budget. That's like a really good example. I would say channel the energy into finding affordable, creative hobbies and balancing desires with smart value assessments and, save strategically for some of these joys if at all possible. For some of you guys, it'll be big risk, big reward. For others, it's going to be like, oh my gosh, how much money did I spend? On the 5th of the month, Uranus stations retrograde in your sign. So if you have any personal planets around 2 to 0 degrees of Gemini, sun, moon, rising, Uranus is moving through your sign. So you get a little bit of like a reprieve of this kind of wild card energy. Obviously, the 1st house deals with yourself, your appearance, your identity, and anything connecting to your body. And Uranus represents your beliefs, travel, and education. So you're reassessing something connecting to these themes. I think that, Uranus being a planet of innovation, it's turning inward now. So it's kind of sparking sudden insights or changes that become reflective. And it's great for rethinking your image. It's great for reevaluating a trip or traveling or what you believe in. But I think that it could also bring some really restless identity shifts. So, picture like a hairstyle experiment, really prompting deeper self-questioning. I also feel like I would be, kind of experimenting privately to avoid any rash reinventions. And maybe this means just reassessing if you really need to be traveling, if you really need to be going back to school. And you might notice just a little bit of like the toning down of feeling almost like electrified. I think Uranus in your sign brings a sense of like impulsiveness and like flightiness. So that's going to kind of tone down a little bit. But it's all about reassessing your personal evolution. Now on September the 7th, we're going to see a lunar eclipse in Pisces. This will be happening at 15 degrees. So if you have anything 13 to about, let's say, 17 degrees of Gemini, sun, moon, rising, this lunar eclipse happening in your 10th house will square you. And this is when the moon's in the 10th house, the sun is in the 4th house, and you see the dynamic between these two particular houses. Honestly, and I've said this for all the signs, this is my favorite eclipse all year. I think it's one of the better ones, particularly because, obviously it's a North Node eclipse, so it represents something new that's coming in. And it's going to be ruled by Jupiter and trining Jupiter, which is exalted in Cancer in your second. Woo, Gemini. I think for a lot of you guys, this full moon is bringing some emotional release in regards to career versus home for sure. But this is spelling out to me like, suddenly there's a returning to work or changing positions or having more authority or getting a better job and having a breakthrough and making more money or feeling more emotionally secure with the job that you're actually in. So you expect culminations in public roles that might be freeing up domestic energy. And this is urging you to let go of any unfulfilling ambitions for better emotional security. Some of you guys could quit a draining job to improve, family time. That's possible. But I think with Jupiter being kind of connected, you're going to go, well, what's more important, my family or the money? What's more important, how much I'm making or if I like my job? And you make the right emotional decision, you're going to find that it's going to be really good for you in terms of financial security as well. But I think some of you guys might get a new job or you might get a raise or you might get a lot of feedback or there could be a proposal to kind of work with like a new person or a new company. So I would say, watch for anything revolving around your career. If you have to give a presentation, if you're needing to, ask for a raise, anything like that can definitely kind of come up. Just wait for some of the eclipse shake-off stuff to kind of happen in October. Now, on September 13th, we're going to see the Sun conjunct Mercury. This will be the Cazimi in your natal 4th house. Sun rules the 3rd house of community. It can also be, your neighborhood. It could be your siblings. And obviously, you are Mercury. So this is going to be possibly a man coming to stay and visit you with the family. It could be an important conversation you have with a sibling or with a neighbor. There could be plans being made revolving around traveling to visit family or family coming to see you. And being that Mercury rules your chart, it's bringing clear insights into a home or family matter. And it's perfect for emotional problem solving. Possibly a family meeting could yield some brilliant solution. And I would say, act on some of these domestic inspirations if you can. Definitely declutter your space, both mentally and physically for clarity. And you might actually have some help or support from a relative or from a neighbor when it comes to a home or family matter. Now, on the 17th of September, we're going to see Mercury in your 4th house of home opposing Saturn in your 10th house of career. Definitely a difficult day for you as you're ruled by Mercury. And this is highlighting some of the themes of what came up with the eclipse, the home versus family. And I think home talks face career restrictions. It's like, okay, in order for me to be home more, I have to scale back at work, or in order for me to take this job, I have to move. So there could be serious discussions that will reveal, blockages that you have between your home and your ambitions. And really what this is doing is it's teaching you to be more disciplined with your emotions. So, family advice, critiquing your professional path can happen. It can also mean that you need to really be prepared with facts, view it as growth, and maybe kind of rest after having these conversations and focus on comforting your routines and recharging. Definitely not a great communication, moving, or professional business day. Now, on the 18th, Mercury then is going to be moving into your 5th house, where then it's going to be focusing more on Libra and 5th house related things. So it's going to be that you're shifting more into a sense of feeling balanced when it comes to dating, creative projects, children, and you're feeling like you want to have fun. So this is positive for you because it's fostering harmonious expressions. And this is also, potentially a little indecisive in the relationship department. That can definitely kind of creep into your pleasures or your dating life. But I think for the most part, it's flirty chats that are really great ways to kind of meet people. Maybe you're focusing on brainstorming artistically. I would just say avoid overcompensating and enjoy more kind of lighthearted connections, dates, or hobbies. I also like that Mercury is going to be trining Uranus on your ascendant. So it can mean that you have like a creative breakthrough. Mercury is also going to be trining Pluto. So it can involve teaching, traveling, publishing, these kinds of things. Now, on the 19th of the month, you're going to see Venus enter into Virgo. It'll move into your 4th house of home and family. And when Venus goes into the 4th house, this is really bringing practical values home. So love expresses through like nurturing your roots, decorating your home. A woman can be coming to stay and visit with you. It can also represent that, there's some picky family dynamics that arise. Venus doesn't do as well in this sign. So watch for thoughtful home gestures that can strengthen bonds with family or with roommates. This is also about showing affection via helpful acts, like organizing your family space and maintaining emotional boundaries to kind of keep things a little bit more smooth. But I like this for like decorating. I think a lot of you guys are going to be either looking for a home or property, or you're investing in, changes to your physical living space as well. Now on September 21st, we have a solar eclipse that's going to be in Virgo, and this will be taking place at 29 degrees. So here's where things get a little interesting. If you happen to have 0 degrees to about 2 degrees of Gemini, Sun, Moon, or Rising, it's an out of sign trine, but it is trining you, okay? However, if you're 28, 29 degrees of Gemini, you're the last kind of batch of degrees, this is actually going to be squaring you. So this is where you need to know if you're an early or a late degree. In middle, you might see a little bit of both. This is a difficult eclipse. There's no candy coating this, okay? That's the truth. For everybody collectively, this is an eclipse that is a solar eclipse. So this means that now this new moon solar eclipse is really seeding a fresh start when it comes to your home and foundations. Now, this is the second new moon that we've had. We had one in August as well at 0 degrees. Mercury's going through here. Eclipses are here. Cazinis are here. The whole universe is saying to you, pay attention to your home. What do you need to clear out? What needs to go? What's going on in the past? What's not working? And I think that the positive is that, opportunities for domestic shifts can arise if you do release these old patterns and you focus on security. Moving or redecorating to transform your inner world is possible. However, you are going to find that this particular eclipse is opposing Saturn in your 10th house of career. So you want to actually go back, whatever date it was that I gave you, that you had Mercury in opposition to Saturn on the 17th. Is very similar to what's going to be going on when you have the eclipse. And there's a lot of like, well, do I have to get out of the house and go back into work? Do I have to move in order to take a job? Am I actually scaling back on work? Do I need to be home? Something's kind of going on there. And this also deals with like family responsibilities, parenting, dealing with your own parents, changes with your family. So, oppositions are relational. Saturn obviously rules legal matters or anything kind of connected to travel, even in-laws. And it also connects to your 8th house of unexpected changes, financial mergers, and stuff like that. So to me, it seems like the Mercury opposed Saturn, the solar eclipse in opposition to Saturn is really showing you what needs to change at home or emotionally for you to be more successful in your career. But you got to start somewhere, and that's a new moon to do it. Now, on the 22nd, sorry guys, yeah. So wait until the eclipses are over to make some of these big changes when it comes to home and family. That's going to be kind of closer to October when things kind of shift. And I would say some of you guys might be just focusing on transforming your inner world. Now, on the 22nd of the month, you're going to see Mars enter into Scorpio, and it's going to be dipping into your 6th house of health, habits, routine, and work, as well as service. This will be intensifying your daily actions. So the good thing is if you're looking to hit the gym, be more active, if you're looking for a job, if you're looking to, get some work done, this can actually be positive for you. And really what Mars does in Scorpio is that it's empowering passionate drive and duties for efficiency. But it also risks burnout and conflicts. So, tackling a work project with depth is a really good idea. Channel this Mars transit into wellness routines, like a focused exercise plan, getting back to the gym, and obviously setting boundaries with people at work if necessary. Now, on the 22nd, you're also going to see the sun entering into Libra. So here in the Northern Hemisphere, this is going to be the time where we're going to see the fall equinox, putting a spotlight on your 5th house. And this is all about balance, right, Libra? So balance becomes key in creativity and self-expression, and it's time to kind of harmonize fun pursuits. A hobby like gaining equilibrium, fits perfectly. I would say celebrate the equinox with something artistic, something creative, like a gathering or a ritual, and maybe sharing some of your creative goals with other people. On the 23rd of the month, you're going to see then the sun in Libra in your 5th house coming into an opposition with Neptune in Aries in your 11th house. And, the 11th house is like groups, friends, networking, and also your aspirations. So some of your creative projects, some of your romantic partners, some of your hobbies are going to be kind of clashing with that of other people, with friends, or even your social dreams. It is possible there could be some confusion with this opposition that can be affecting, how you network, who you view your friends are. So discern illusions with, within some of these days, and watch for some kind of group vagueness that can also kind of come up that can create some conflicts revolving around a creative project. And I would say you want to ground your energy out on this day with like real honest talks with people. And you can find that you can inspire collectively to kind of cut through some of the confusion. And then on the 24th of the month, Mars is going to continue to go through Scorpio in your 6th, where it's heating up your action, your drive, your work, but it's going to come into a square with Pluto in Aquarius. This is a difficult aspect. The 6th and the 9th deals with beliefs and travel. So there could be routine intensity that's kind of meeting with some kind of philosophical transformation, or there could be some scheduling and traveling issues, or scheduling and also issues revolving around education. So Mars-Pluto squares manifest as power struggles and duties versus worldview, and it could lead to, some kind of breakthrough or clash. So I think that like a work travel dispute might happen, and it might kind of, get you thinking about whether or not you can actually maintain the schedule that you have. Certainly your health can provide some challenges also for being able to kind of get out and about and travel. I would recommend transforming these frustrations into learning opportunities and exercise or meditate to avoid, some of the kind of burnout that can happen. For some of you guys, you may also find that there are challenges that kind of come up in legal disputes. So if you're in the midst of a legal dispute, the 6th and the 9th house can be about that as well, trying to kind of mediate and bring that to a close. And that's pretty much it for the month. Obviously, I would say your best days this month are going to be September 2nd, when you have, your chart ruler ingressing into your home zone. So it's going to bring you clarity when it comes to home and mental flow. The 13th, when you're going to see that there is illuminated insights in domestic matters. And the 18th, which could bring you some kind of creative harmony. I think all these days are really kind of favoring your connection. So communicate these days when at all possible. The days that are going to be more challenging for you, Gemini, are going to be September 4th, where fun and values, there's going to be some tension. So keep your spending in check. The 17th, where career and home limits are going to be kind of showing you where you need to reflect rather than force things. And September 24th, where there's those routine clashes. And this is about communicating carefully and also prioritizing stress relief. So to wrap it up for the month ahead, Gemini rising, September is really your playground. I think that, you'll find there's a lot of opportunities to get creative at home, to get creative with family. This is also a great time to let Mercury kind of, guide you through some of the stuff that's going to be changing with the eclipses. Obviously, navigate with curiosity and ground your ideas. Watch how your connections will flourish. And if this resonated with you, don't forget to give me a thumbs up, like this video, drop me a comment below, and let me know how these predictions play out for the month ahead. All right, and let's see what card you get for the month of September. What does Gemini need to know? You get the Temperance card. I like this. I think this is really interesting because I connect this to Jupiter to some extent. And obviously, the eclipse is trining Jupiter. So maybe you're healing self-esteem issues. Maybe you're healing financial issues. Maybe you have the support of a partner. Jupiter rules relationships. People can be more willing to partner with you, support you, or help heal. But temperance is timing, okay, which is a funny thing. Saturn is kind of tied to that as well. So if you're one of those later degree Geminis where you're 25 to 29 degrees and Saturn is squaring you, temperance is basically telling you, hey, it's about balance. It's about timing, be patient, practice moderation, be tranquil, focus on harmony, right? So when this card comes up, it's about finding balance and harmony in an area of your life, and you may need to moderate your behavior in order to find a middle ground. And I think that's also a lot of the 10th house, 4th house stuff. It's like, Saturn back in your 10th house. What am I supposed to be doing? What's my purpose? Where am I going? Who's in charge? And then you're realizing that in order to focus on those things, you're getting out of the house, you're getting out of old emotional habits and ways of doing things. And I would say change can come so abruptly with some of the, trines and the aspects to Uranus, with some of the squares that can be happening to your personal planets. And I would say just take your time this month. Everybody's going to be going through some kind of cosmic change of some kind because that's what the eclipses bring. But I think that for many of you guys, what you're clearing out could bring you some kind of emotional peace, right? Hopefully that's helpful, Gemini. I'll catch you guys back here in October. Take care.